Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. This is a podcast called The Deen of an Old Woman, and inshallah we will start. All of us are sick to different degrees. This sickness is not a physical sickness, but it's a spiritual one. And what that basically means is that when we are not true to ourselves, when we don't live according to the fitrah that Allah has placed in us, when we don't follow the revelation and live by it and live by the sunnah, we are sick to a certain degrees. It depends how much of the revelation we are following and how much we are following our own desires, our whims, our wishes and our ego. The more we are living away from the revelation and according to our own desire, the more spiritually sick we are. And when we follow the guidance of Allah, the hadayah that all the prophets brought, in particular Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he brought the Quran. When we live by that, the spiritual sickness is to a lesser degree. And if we have any ounce of brain or any wisdom, we all want to have a better quality of life, to live a better way of life. And it's fairly easy. All we have to do is to follow our fitrah. And the fitrah is inclined toward the truth. And the truth is the words of Allah, which is the Quran. And to get a hold of a copy of the Quran is so easy these days. We have, this explosion of knowledge, the internet and the social media and the iPhones. Anybody can download an app of the Quran and try to read and see what your Maker is trying to tell you, how to live this life. Always remember that Allah who created this life, He wants best for us. He doesn't want us to be confused or to be messed up or to be lost or moving from one place to the other. Allah wants us to have a stable, secure life. The meaning of Islam means peace and security. And all human beings want security in life. Nobody wants to have anxiety, unsettlement, and feeling troubled. We all want security, and it's found in Islam. It's up to us to go and search and try to live by that. So the first step to reaching this calm, content, peaceful state is to reflect and to acknowledge and to take ownership and responsibility of our life. We must be honest with ourselves and address the wrong that we've done to ourselves and to others. We should feel remorse and ask God for forgiveness and try to rectify what we did wrong. If we wronged somebody, we could always ask for forgiveness and try to recompensate them in any way that is accurate. Or if we've done wrong to ourselves, we have to mend that as well. So once we have done that, which is asking forgiveness, sincere forgiveness from God, the doors of forgiveness are always open. This is the first step by coming towards Allah, by following His guidance, by living a life that is beneficial to us. So the first step for us, for you and I, is to sit down and reflect on the life that we have led and what wrong we have done, and compare that to the commandments of God. If we have disobeyed God, it's easy and simple to ask for forgiveness and show remorse and true sincerity in asking for forgiveness. So that's the first stage. There's a small surah in the Quran called Surah Ikhlas. This surah has been ranked the most important surah in the Quran, and its reward for reading it as we have read the third of the Quran. Actualizing and internalize this surah will show us what the true reality is about. What is this world about? How I'm supposed to navigate in this world? What is expected of me? What are my rights and obligation on others? And what are the rights and what are the duties that I have to perform? This surah will direct us and tell us how to go about it. Our hearts, and as a result, we are agitated and bored. So when we are bored or agitated with life, and the heart becomes empty, and the life becomes meaningless, and we don't know what to do next. We try this and we try that. We go there and we go over there. There's no contentment. There's no peace. There's no comfort, where you feel good about life. There's always something nagging away. Sometimes we can't even pinpoint what it is. But the soul that God created us always wants to go back to its source, which is Allah. And the soul is always crying out. Our fitrah wants to go back to Allah. And the best way to do it is for ask for forgiveness, and then secondly to read the Quran and try to understand what the Quran say. So that's why if we just look at the small surah called Surah Ikhlas, we can see how much it will enable us to see the world how it should be. So when we see the world in a correct light, we can make right decisions and make right choices. Surah Ikhlas has a central theme, which is oneness of Allah. Allah tells us about himself. One day, the Prophet, peace be on him, was sitting down, and the Quraysh asked him, "Who is your God?" And then the revelation of this surah came. It goes like this. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Kul huwallahu ahad. Allahu samad. Lam yalid. Walam yulad. Walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. So the Prophet ﷺ told the Quraysh who Allah is, because they wanted to know what is the Allah that the Prophet is worshipping. Allah is mentioned 2,600 times in the Quran to reinforce this concept of one true God, who is the creator, maintainer, protector, caretaker, the director, and the one who loves us the most. No entity loves a human being more than Allah loves us. Even if it's your family or your friend, whoever it is, Allah loves us 70 times more than a mother loves their baby. Now this surah, Kul huwallahu ahad, means Allah is unique, He's one. Nothing is like Him. Allah is one. Kul huwallahu ahad. And then Allahu samad, that everything depends on Allah. This is a very important point that we must remember at the forefront of the mind, that every second and every breath we take, we are dependent on Allah to fulfill this need, whether it's hunger, whether it's health, whether it's functioning of the body, whether it's breathing the air, whether it's what we see, what we hear, whether how the body is functioning, how the digestive system is working, how the brain is functioning. All these different functions of the body is dependent on Allah, and Allah is the one who is maintaining us. So we have to understand that when Allah says Kul Huwallahu Allahu Samad, Allah, everything in universe needs Allah. The tree, the plants, the flowers, the sea, the mountain, the clouds, the sky, the earth. These are the known thing. But can you imagine how vast is the universe? The world is a tiny speck in that structure. Everything in the universe is asking Allah for not only its existence, but is asking for its function. The sun is asking Allah to shine. The moon is asking Allah to rotate and to complete its function. The stars, the galaxy, everything is asking Allah for its functioning. So everything is dependent on Allah. And this is Tawheed. We have to understand that and we have to live by that. We mustn't be confused or veiled or covered by the means. We should be able to see through them and see Allah is the originator and the creator of everything. So Kula Wallahu Allahu Samad, and then Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad, that Allah did not give birth to anybody, nor was he begotten. Nobody gave him birth. And that there's nothing like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing is like Allah. Nothing that we can imagine is like Allah. And Allah tells us there's no similarity, there's no comparison. Allah is unique. Allah is out of space and time. We are in space and time. We are finite. Allah is infinite and transcendent. The beauty of knowing Allah, that although He's closer to us than a jugular vein, He's also transcendent. The scholars have divided Allah's attributes in two main categories, that of beauty and majesty, Jamal and Jalal. So we always have to think that everything comes from Allah and everything will return to Him. The beauty of Allah's name is that when we mention it to something, it is multiplied, the benefit of that thing on which the name is being mentioned. This is why we read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. When you mention Allah's name, the thing that's mentioned on becomes full of goodness and benefit. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ told us, whenever you're going to do something, make sure you read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Before you do anything, eat or drink, you're supposed to read that. This is the true reality, that Allah is the one who is the anything in the universe is Allah's handiwork. Allah is doing everything in the universe. Although we can't see Allah, but we can see His signs. At times of distress, when we mention His name, we should reach calmness. Allah tells us that call me in difficult time and in hard time. Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam called out in Allah in utter darkness when he was dropped in the well. Allah tells us all these stories to illustrate to us that the situation we will be in one day, the way out is what the prophets did. And Prophet Yusuf remained calm and called out on Allah in time of darkness. And it's not only in time of darkness, even in good times, we should always call out on Allah. Always to be aware that Allah is the one who is doing everything for us. When we are sick, we mention His name to get cured. All power belongs to Allah, and He caters for all our needs. When you want a specific outcome for a problem, call out on Allah, as He is in reality doing everything for us. As we advance in our knowledge, we can move on to Allah's attributes to call Him with. The beauty of His attributes like Rahman and Rahim are applicable in any situation we find ourselves. So when we in a difficult situation, we call out on that particular attribute of Allah. When we are sick, we say, oh Shafi, the one who heals. So Allah has all these attributes in order to introduce us to Him and show us how we can interact with Him to the best of our ability. Our fitrah, or this awareness of knowing Allah and experiencing Allah, is everyone has that fitrah, whether they know it or not. Sometimes the atheists deny this existence, that Allah exists, but deep down in their soul, they know Allah exists. Allah gives us this example that when people are in the ship and it's a dark night and it's a dark storm and it's lightning and it's extremely frightening and the waves are mountain high and the ship is like a speck moving here and there, that's when people call out on Allah in all sincerity from the depth of their heart. And once Allah saves them and they go on the land, they forget about Allah. Allah tells us we mustn't be like that. When Allah saves us from a difficult situation that we have experienced and we walked from it with Allah's help, we should always remember Him and not forget Him. Everything in existence knows Allah. So when you mention the name of Allah, nothing harms you. Subhanallah. You know, even everything we do, you say, oh, to a thing, I command you in the name of Allah, and it normally responds. This is a personal thing I experience myself. When I'm about to do cooking, I try to ignite the cooker, the fire, and it doesn't turn on. So when it doesn't come on, I say, oh fire, light in the name of Allah, and you are His creation, just the way I am. And then the fire instantly lights up. And honestly, you too experience that, but you have to be really sincere and really believe in it and not have 1 ounce of doubt in your heart of the existence of Allah, that He is the creator, He is the maintainer, He is the cherisher, He is the one who's running the show. When you truly, truly believe that, that's when things do start happening. Thank you.